Well, I have something that I'm very excited about. In 2022, in this project, we're going to be installing some stone steps right here to mitigate the severity of the drop and how much further down that next step is. Kim and I aren't getting any younger, you know. The first thing you're going to do is clear your workspace out. Pull all the weeds, pull all the grass that you need to, and then you wet it down and you tamp it at least 2 inches down with a sledgehammer, or you can use a mini sled. This is 90% of the work. Next, you'll add 3 to 4 inches of base rock, aka crushed gravel, and this prevents sinking and shifting and all the sand washing out from underneath the stone. Put a little extra gravel on the downhill side. This prevents the stone from creeping down a hillside. Next, add your rock sand. Now don't go cheap on this. Rock sand is different than the gravel. It's thinner and will act better to smooth out the stone so it sits level. Next, you're going to put adhesive on. So make sure you clean the stone really well. Don't apply your lines too close to the edge because it'll push out once you set the stone. What I do is I create a little square with 3 lines on one side and squiggly lines in the middle. Once you press firm, it will spread out evenly underneath the stone. Now remember, once you do this, do not twist or turn the stone because you will break the seal that the adhesive has already created. Let it dry for 24 hours. What? 24 hours? Yes. Go around. Let it dry and set for 24 hours. And by the way, this is not a training video. I'm winging this as I go.
I cannot believe what a crazy weather pattern we've been having this winter. It's March and we've had triple-digit days, days in the high 90s. In the meantime, I know some of you are still under snow, not to mention those of you in Hawaii that are getting that crazy, crazy storm. So it seems like the weather is just going nuts on us this year. So unfortunately, many of my cooler vegetables here in the fountain planter are completely toast, which has never happened this early. We've never had heat like this in March. So job for today, get things uncovered. It's a little bit cooler out here today, at least in the mid 80s, and get some new things planted, which I am excited to get my peppers and cucumbers and squash in this early. That's never happened before. And by the way, happy spring, guys. So this will actually be a really nice thing to do here on the first day of spring. Wanted to bring you guys along with me. And what I do want to hear though, is how the crazy weather is affecting your garden. Are things a little bit later this year as far as planting outside? Or like me here in Southern California, are you able to get things out sooner? So drop a comment, let me know. Got to get busy before it gets too hot. I know it's just a life cycle in the garden, but these looked so good a few weeks ago. My beautiful lettuce and cabbages are absolutely toast. I mean, look at this. It's March and usually everything is thriving by now and just taking off. And it barely started to take off and this heat wave hit. It is just absolutely destroyed. I cannot believe how, even though covered with shade cloth, the lettuce is just done. The pests have moved in. And the only comfort I can take in all this damage is thankfully I have peppers and cucumbers and some warm weather veggies hardening off, ready to go in and ready to take their place. So it's always a good idea to get those going just in case something like this happens. So let me know how your garden's faring and how you're holding up too, because it is pretty disappointing. Now I actually haven't even looked under this shade cloth for about 2 weeks. I'm kind of afraid to lift it up. It's got lettuce in it, cool weather stuff. Ooh, what do you guys think? Let's check it out here. Like I said, I know the garden has a life cycle. I've been a gardener for how many years now, but it's still kind of disappointing. But it's still kind of disappointing to lose plants, don't you think? Well, actually, the front of the garden bed here doesn't look too bad. The red vein sorrel is an absolute trooper, so it's holding up really well. The strawberries look pretty good, surprisingly enough, and it doesn't look like quite as many pests have gotten to them as they have like I believe this is a cabbage right here. The mustard greens are kind of getting eaten. Back here at the back of the garden bed though, that's a totally different story. Look at the difference between the warm weather red vein sorrel. Look how well that's holding up. It holds up to the heat and the cold. And then the lettuce. It's not designed in its genetics to like the warm weather, even under shade cloth. It has just absolutely taken a beating. With normally this time of the year is my best time of year for lettuce. So let's check out back here how the arugula is doing. Now in the back of the garden bed, it actually gets a little bit more shade. Here it is 1 o'clock, it's still shaded, but the arugula is definitely starting to bolt. It doesn't like the warm weather either, but it is one of the fastest growing greens that you can possibly plant. So I will plant some more, and definitely got my work cut out for me though. But you know what, it's nice and cool. There's a nice breeze going on. I wouldn't say cool, it's 87, but we're in the shade and it'll be a great day to be out in the garden. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's actually been kind of a tough week this week. We've been super busy. I feel like I've been going from morning until night, and we have had some kind of hard things going on outside our business with some friends. So it's really been tough. And we've actually been sitting out here in the evenings, and the garden has just really been giving back. I haven't had any time to be out in the garden this week, so it's really nice to be here on a Saturday, even though it's still pretty warm. Here in the shade, there's a nice little breeze going, and it's just kind of nice to know that I can get my hands in the soil today, plant some plants. There's just something so satisfying about that and so grounding, knowing that I'm putting these plants in, I can nurture them, see them grow, and after a tough week, it's just really, what do you want to say, a stress reliever? It just brings some peace to my heart. And I know a lot of you feel that way about gardening too. Okay, it's all coming out. I'm really debating whether or not to pull out this Brussels sprout plant. It actually looks pretty good. Not a lot of bug damage or heat damage. However, the deciding factor is next week it's still going to be in the 90s, and Brussels sprouts actually take a pretty long time to produce. I'm gonna go ahead and yank it out. Yeah, I know, it's a tough one sometimes, but the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to free up space for plants that will be more productive for the weather that we're having right now. So out it goes, but I'm gonna put it in the compost pile so all is not lost. Well, now that I've cleaned everything out, it feels really good to start over with like a fresh bed here. And the cool thing is, it got us a little harvest of this Napa cabbage. We'll eat this tonight for dinner. And next step here, we got to get in this bumper crop soil. Of course, we got to refresh our garden beds, and look at these beautiful looking pepper plants here. These are growing so good, so I'm excited to get them in early this year so we have peppers to harvest early. Pretty fun. 3, 2, 1, action. I actually really love this part. Opening a fresh bag of soil is always fun. And then knowing that I've got fresh new soil here in my garden bed, especially this stuff. Oh, it just smells so good. I love the look of new soil. This new raised bed soil from Bumper Crop is really, really nice. I mean, look at how beautiful that looks. I like that it has these little pumice stones in them, which really helps with water retention. This stuff is amazing. Topping things off here. Now for the fun stuff. Peppers are going in. Also have some eggplant here. And this eggplant, surprisingly enough, overwintered. And I think it's gonna take off here in the warm weather. And I've got another Black Beauty eggplant, because we're really loving eggplant lately, that I'm gonna pop in on that side of the garden bed. Now I haven't quite decided what to do with this container. I just pulled everything out of it. I'm thinking maybe some herbs, or maybe just another pepper plant. It's actually about the right size for a pepper plant. So a nice little combo of sweet and hot peppers, different colors. So I think it's gonna look really pretty here in the front. Can't wait. Well, the little fountain planter remake is done. And I'm really the kind of person that needs that kind of sense of completion to have a feeling of accomplishment about my day. Probably part of my perfectionist tendencies that I am trying to kind of push back a little bit. But fact is, it feels good to have a project complete at the end of a day. So let me know if you're one of those people too that really needs that a completion to have that sense of satisfaction. It's also really good garden therapy to be out here today too. So I really love how the garden just helps you release some of those stressful feelings, maybe the sadness of the week for some tough things that happened. Let me know if you have that same feeling about the garden as well. Now I haven't quite decided what I'm going to put in the little container here at the end of the planter. I was kind of toying back and forth between a few different things, maybe one of those little mini yellow bell peppers from my indoor garden seed collection, or maybe some flowers just to kind of brighten this planter up. And much as I would love to leave this all uncovered so I could admire my handiwork, I am going to go ahead and cover it back up because the pepper plants are just not established enough. The roots are still kind of tender, just being transplanted. And that way it'll protect them and help them get established a little quicker so they don't die in the heat.
Well, I have something that I'm very excited about. In 2022, for some unknown reason, we began losing subscribers by the thousands. And this continued on and on through 23 and 24, etc. We even went to the YouTube experts and they sat with us and they looked at our numbers and all of our data and they told us to try this and try that, to no avail. And we were even listening to some of the big YouTubers, you know, the big ones, who said, oh, the YouTube Studio app, I never even check it. That will just suck you in a big black hole. So we've deleted that app. We looked at ourselves and we're like, we can't delete that app because that app tells you too much about how you can improve or where people are stopping watching your videos, etc. But then I chatted with desktop support of YouTube. And I said, hey, listen, do you see anything suspicious on our account? Is anything weird looking or anything? And they said, well, no, everything looks good. But what YouTube does do is that it will scan all of YouTube subscribers and start deleting fake accounts or even accounts that haven't been to your channel. It will unsubscribe them from your channel. And I said, you're kidding me. And they said, no, I mean, that very well is probably what's happening here. Here we are now, 2026. It's been keeping a negative count for us conveniently. And guess what? We're in the positives now. So we want to thank you for all of you new subscribers. We are back on the mend and it just feels so good to have that number being positive again. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support. We truly appreciate it.
And if you could do us a favor and just check to make sure you're subscribed, especially if you're enjoying our videos. If you're brand new here, we want to welcome you again. And just head over and subscribe because it really does help us out. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we've actually had a few of our subscribers DM us and say, you know what, I thought I was subscribed, but I'm glad I checked because I wasn't subscribed. To all of you, we want to tell you thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing and for being amazing. Until next time, we'll see you on the next Uncut.